field. That one's stalled to the right. Hunter on the move, racing back. It's over his head. It's gone. It's into the bullpen. This game is tied. This game is tied. David Ortiz. David Ortiz. David Ortiz.
This is Red Sox Beat on CLNS Radio.
I think it would be a big statement if John Farrell started Travis Shaw on opening day, and I'd be totally cool with it, because I think it would. If that doesn't give Sandoval motivation to play better defense and play better, period, nothing will.
I think they're going to make Jeter that first unanimous vote, and I hate that about baseball writers. If you belong in the Hall of Fame, you get voted in the Hall of Fame.
Achievement or a new milestone. They don't just be like, "Yay, we signed this player, so we're going to have a ceremony." Like, no. Like,
now to your hosts.
All right, Red Sox Beat, CLNS Media, the leading online provider of audio and video coverage of your Boston Red Sox, on Twitter at @RedSox_Beat. Facebook is Red Sox Beat Podcast. Of course, CLNS Media is at CLNS Media. Facebook, search the same thing. Of course, our iOS and Android podcast app is up there as well. To listen to all the network shows, not just us here across the network. Keep an eye on clnsmedia.com. We'll be announcing this website launch very soon, was what we've been told. So keep an eye out for that as well. And, of course, shout to Harry's Razors for sponsoring the show this week. Go to harrys.com/Red Sox, and you can try out Harry's for free. So check that out as well. Big week, Red Sox have made the news. We've talked about managers. Last couple weeks it's been me and Lauren. But it's the return of the Jester, Jess Man, back from his honeymoon, fresh, ready to go. What's going on, my friend?
Yeah, I've had a week of work, but I'm still fresh for the show. I was sitting there earlier. I'm like, I feel like I haven't done a show in like 4 months. But I'm back. I'm back and I'm ready.
A lot has happened since you got married.
Oh, my God. Has it ever? My God.
Jess is married. That's a thing. He's got a ring on. It's weird. But, we're going to continue. The World Series is going on right now, which is crazy. The matchup is phenomenal. It's Dodgers, Astros. We'll get to that. Game 1's in the books as we're recording, so we'll talk about that. But first, we have to go back because something big happened in the Red Sox world, as we all know. John Farrell has been fired. Alex Cora is the new manager. The Red Sox officially have announced it since our last show as well, so we'll get to that. But first, we all know Jess is a big John Farrell guy, and Lauren shared her opinion. I shared mine last week. So let's just get his take, see what he thinks. Jess, John Farrell no longer the manager of your Boston Red Sox. So how are you feeling about it?
Well, I wouldn't call me a big John Farrell fan.
Oh, no. Don't pull back. No. You were all over him like a fat kid on cake. No. Like, you were the biggest supporter of him. Both of you were. So don't pull back. But honest opinion, John Farrell being gone.
No, honestly, I was a supporter of him more than most people, but I wasn't like, he's the best manager in the face of the earth, because he's not. I just said people were too hard on him, which they were. But, so it's interesting for me because, it happened when I was gone. It happened like the second day of my honeymoon, so like it was pretty early on, so I got to enjoy and not worry about that after it happened. But it was interesting, like, coming back and then hearing people's takes on it, like going back and listening to the shows and the news feed and stuff, and listening to your guys' thoughts on one show about how whether you think he's going to be here or not, and then the next show knowing that he's not here and your thoughts on that. So it was really fascinating for me to kind of like go back in time and hear everybody's thoughts on it, because I hadn't really thought about my opinion on it because I just was like soaking in everybody else's opinion at the time, and boy, everyone was excited. That's for sure. If you looked at Twitter, we had Wi-Fi in our place, and I checked out some people's thoughts after it happened just to see what people were thinking, and they were excited. In terms of me, it's interesting. It's interesting that he stayed after 2 last place finishes and then went after 2 AL East titles and first round exits. You think it would be the other way around, but as it was, it's like you get that far, but you're expected to go further and you lose earlier than people think you will. So I guess that's kind of the basis of like, you're good but not good enough. So I think it proved that he wasn't Dombrowski's guy. He didn't think he was Dombrowski's guy. Most people didn't think he was Dombrowski's guy, and this obviously proved he wasn't, because if he was, he would have kept him after winning the AL East. So I think it's a good move because there's so much negativity and toxicity around this guy in this place over the last several years, more in the last 2 years than in the last 5 years. But it's just, he's not a popular guy. He can't win no matter what he does. And, as much as you want to, as a player and as a coach or manager, you want to block that stuff out, obviously, you're still going to hear it. People are still talking about it. It's endless in Boston, and I think it probably got to him. I think Dombrowski's like, well, he's not my guy anyway, and he's probably sick of being here in the first place. Now I have a good excuse of going 1-6 in the last 2 years in the ALDS to get rid of him, move on to somebody else. So I think it was kind of inevitable. I'm not surprised it happened. I guess it probably wouldn't have happened if they beat the Astros, and they came close to getting to Game 5, so that could have been a whole different story. But as it was, I think they needed to make a change, and you need to make a lot more than this, but this is a start, I guess, and time for a culture change because it was a pretty weird year.
Yeah, so fast forward, John Farrell's gone. Alex Cora was rumored a bunch of times. All the reports, all the articles were 99% sure Alex Cora is going to be the next manager, and then Garnett goes, and now this week the Red Sox officially announced after the ALCS, like they said they were going to do, their next manager is Alex Cora. He said via email I don't remember the reporter who he talked to, but he said, he's excited to come back to Boston. He's very excited to kind of have that challenge and come back to the city where he won a World Series. Obviously looking forward to this World Series, going with the Houston Astros as their bench coach. I know Lauren and I talked about this last week. I love the hiring. I think it's a good, out of everyone that's out there, obviously he might not be the best manager because he's a new manager, but out of everyone that's available, it's kind of a no-brainer for why the Red Sox wanted him. Young guy, knows what it takes to win here, not afraid, to help culture. And anybody you talk to or you read about talking about Alex Cora in that Astros dugout, praise him for what he does, about, getting to know everybody in that clubhouse, walking around and talking to all the players, seeing how they're doing. That's important as a manager, especially as a first-year manager. So we'll talk about intriguing ways of what you do around him. In terms of his staff, there's a bunch of options. It looks like they're going to kind of clean house for the most part, and going to give him his options. But just Alex Cora real quick, like I said, because we gave our takes on him. As a first-year manager, Alex Cora, a lot of people are like, oh, Dave Roberts did it. He's at the World Series now. Like, can Alex Cora repeat that success as a former Red Sox hero? Or I guess really Alex Cora wasn't a hero here. But, can he repeat that Dave Roberts success and be a successful first-year manager?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's great. I think he's a really good dude. He clearly, if you read anything about him, he gets along with people really well. He's a very good communicator, which is what you need in Boston. I think playing here is very important because he already knows what it's like, even though it was, 9 to 12 years ago. But, he won a World Series here. He played with Pedroia, and I think, obviously it didn't seem like Pedroia was the biggest John Farrell fan, and he already knows Cora, so he's going to get along with him. They had a good relationship when they played. Actually, Cora kind of stepped aside for Pedroia because they played the same position for the most part. So I think they're going to have a great relationship, and Pedroia is going to respect him as a manager, no doubt. I have no question about that, which is awesome for the team. And, it's going to be hard. It's a difficult job, but if you're a good communicator, we're one step further because you saw John Farrell wasn't the greatest at that. People were all over his ass constantly for it because he wouldn't say anything, the company line, blah, 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 most boring interview in the face of the earth. And I don't think Cora's going to be like that. And people want communication, and he seems to be pretty good at that. So, and obviously he doesn't have a ton of coaching experience, but being a bench coach is a good jumping off point to manager. Just ask Torey Lovullo. And he's in the World Series right now. So, I think it's all good. It made the most sense. I'm happy for it.
Yep, and I think I think with what the Red Sox are trying to do, it's a win now mentality, but you need someone that can be here long term as well. And if he does be successful with this, and he can come into Boston where he was good as a player, won a World Series, all that kind of stuff, and be that kind of manager, he's young. He's 47. Like he can be here for a while. And I think that's what their goal is here. It's to, have that relationship with the older guys, keep them in line, keep Hanley engaged if he can do that, and still have a way with the younger players like he did in Houston. Because you read about what that relationship's been in Houston with Springer and Altuve and all these guys who are younger, who the Astros brought up. They love him. They love the guy. He has that relationship. He can build that relationship. Now the question for me is, and this is where we can kind of all jump in here and really kind of go back and forth, is what do you do around him? It's who's your bench coach? Who's your pitching coach? I know Hickey was just fired. I think it's Jim Hickey, right, from the Rays, was just let go there. He's popular. I know he's linked to the Cubs potentially because he was with Madden, all that kind of stuff. That's a guy that could be really good for this staff and the Red Sox as well. Who do you put as the bench coach? I don't know, a lot of people talk about Veritek. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but do they go young around him? Do they go old around him? How do they strategically look to help Alex Cora out with his staff? Because obviously he's going to have a say in it, but there's going to be some input from Dombrowski and who they put around him.
Your bench coach should be David Ortiz.
Oh, stop.
Absolutely.
Stop it.
I had to bring it up. I mean, it's been great seeing him on the broadcast lately.
Hey, that would help Hanley.
It would, but I think Cora's going to do great with Hanley, especially the young players too. But surrounding him, I think, is a huge question. I know Davis has been linked to leaving as well. It kind of, like you said, Jared, it kind of does sound like they're going to clear house and kind of start fresh here. And it's not something I've really given too much thought to, because I feel like it's just, we've always been solid no matter who steps into that kind of position. I would love Veritek as a bench coach. I don't think he would want anything really more than that, because I'm pretty sure he's come out and said he doesn't want to be a manager, which is why they didn't even kind of bring him up in the conversation to be the Red Sox manager. But I think he would be great. Yeah, he's obviously great with the players. He knows what he's talking about. And I think he's also a really good veteran voice that this team was missing last year. And obviously Cora brings that. And I think, kind of building off what Jess said, him and Pedroia get along. They get along really well. So maybe Pedroia can kind of step up, and somebody, as Cora is someone he respects and obviously gets along with, maybe he can really step up and be the leader this team needs. So, as Cora is a great building block. Like, you can really just build around him, because he's just, he's such a good person. He's a good person to have on your staff. He's a good person to have on your bench. And we've seen that with the Astros this year. So really, I really feel like anyone they put into these positions, whether they keep the same people or whether they bring in new people, it's going to be okay, because Cora's just going to be like, welcome. Like, this is how you're going to help us. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah, I think it's going to work out no matter what. He's actually only 42, Jared. He's pretty young.
Wow.
He's not that much. Yeah, he's not that much older than some of the players.
All right,
so, yeah. Yeah, in terms of the staff, I'm not sure. I haven't thought about it a whole lot either. I think it might be a good idea to go a little bit older around him, though, just because he is so young. Get some experience. I know Jim Hickey's not really that old, but he's been a pitching coach for quite a while, and he was under Joe Madden for a lot of years with Tampa
He's worked
Bay.
with some studs, too. He's worked with, like, Maddox and all those guys from on the way up. So.
So he's a little older. So, and he's been a coach in the American League and the American League East. So I wouldn't be opposed to Jim Hickey. I don't know if he wants to come here or not, but that could be a good, more veteran guy. In terms of Veritek, if he ever does want to be a manager, this would be a good first step, for sure. He's also younger and hasn't done this, so between that and Cora not having a whole lot of coaching experience either, might not be the best idea in the world. But Chili Davis is still. I thought he did a good job. I wouldn't mind if they kept him. I don't know if they will. The whole thing with coaches is so weird to me. I always just assume everything's going to stay the same, and everyone's like, "All right, time to find your whole new staff." And I'm like, huh?
A lot of managers want their guys, which was right. They have the right to do that, but at the same time, you're all of a sudden out of nowhere. People can kind of expect it, but Carl Willis interviewed with the Twins for their pitching coach job. Like there's been rumors that Chili Davis is leaving. I didn't think they were that great, but unless they really already heard that Alex Cora doesn't want them back.
I know, it's always weird to me. It's just all these guys have been here and they know the system, and then all of a sudden they're all going to be gone, and you're going to bring all new guys in. That just kind of seems unnecessary to me. I know they're keeping Daniel Evangi. He was the bullpen coach, but that's the only one they've actually announced. So it's weird to me. I never expect the staffs to change, but I know when guys leave, like when Francona left, Brad Mills went with him. You have your guys, but Farrell's not currently managing anywhere at the moment. So if he doesn't manage this upcoming year, are all the guys going to jump ship and go find something else to do? Are they going to follow him? Or are they going to stay? It's weird. It's very strange to me.
Yeah, and you really don't know what's going to happen. And this is stuff that's all going to be answered after the World Series is over. Once they can really, Alex Cora comes in here, does an introductory press conference, finally gets his Red Sox manager office and, goes to town. So we'll kind of have to see in terms of that. But there are options. There's plenty of things to move on. And we know now that the manager is taken care of. It's Alex Cora. And we're all kind of in agreement. I think most people are in the area. And media, I think, is okay with it too, because he's a guy that is an up-and-coming manager. And I think that knowing Boston helps him and helps his case to help come in here and, like I said, control Hanley, help the young guys, and maintain those relationships to kind of steady the ship. That has been, one playoff win, 2 division titles back-to-back. It's been a joke for what they had talent-wise, and I think they want him to be that guy to come in here and do it. So,
and as you always hear, utility infielders are the best managers, like the guys who aren't that good at baseball, yet they're like decent in their utility infielders. They always make good managers.
Look at Dave Roberts.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like the worse you are at baseball, like the better you are as a manager.
God, we'd all be Hall of Fame managers then. God.
It's funny. I read an article about Cora on MLB.com, and it says, it brings up him being utility infielder, but then it says he brings a well-rounded skill set to the table. He's known for having strong communication skills. He's known for his intelligence as a player. And it just goes on, just like talks about like the experience he's going to bring. It never talks about like that he was this amazing baseball player. It talks about like how amazing of a person he is. And I kind of look for that in a manager as opposed to like somebody who used to play. Like I said, if you're a good baseball player, I really don't feel like you'd make the best manager. But it's just, he just has this thing about him where it just, people are drawn to him, people respect him. And this article just clearly just outlines that perfectly, and how he's the perfect fit to be a manager, and he's a perfect fit to be the Red Sox manager, and he's in a great position to take over this team. And it's just funny how little it talks about his MLB career, but it goes into just more of like how he is as a person.
Yeah, and it's also in his genes too. His older brother Joey Cora was a utility infielder as well, and he's been a coach. He's been like a third base coach for several years. He's been a coach in some capacity for the last 14 years. So it's in his family too. So I'm sure he's gonna get some tips from his brother as well, because why wouldn't he?
Of course, absolutely.
Utility infielder blood. Oh, it's great. It's what we need here. More Brock Holt managing the.
I was saying, so in like 20 years, Brock Holt will be the new manager.
Yeah, seriously, it's going to keep rotating. Who knows next? Maybe Devin Marrero becomes a manager at some point too. All right, football fans, the wait is obviously over. Fantasy football is here, and Fantasy Football Daily on FanDuel is for everyday fans. You get new contests starting every week, no busted seasons, something for everyone, lots of contests to choose from, starting at just $1. You pick the contest, you choose your team, and you watch, score real time. We're doing FanDuel. It's phenomenal. There's a couple leagues, obviously yearly I'm doing well, a couple I'm not, and for those that I'm not doing well, get a chance to earn some money. And if you go to FanDuel.com/Red Sox Beat, you can play against us as well in a listener league, which has been fantastic. Guys, not to say I'm doing well against our listeners, but at least it's entertaining to play against our listeners.
It's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard to win.
And it's funny because like you draft your team and you're like, hell yeah, my team's so stacked, we do so good, and you check and you're like, how am I not even in like the top 100?
I'm in last place. What am I doing? Yeah, it's great.
I know, there's like 150 people, and they're like, 124th out of 150. I'm like, I thought my team was doing good.
It's ridiculous, but the good thing about that is the week after, done. Reset. You can go to a new lineup. You have over 2.5 million players who have won cash prizes playing on FanDuel. So if you don't win one week, like the three of us clearly haven't, you change it over. You go to a new roster. You make sure Carson Wentz is on your roster as your quarterback, and you'll be doing well. Sign up today. If you go to FanDuel.com, you click the Join Now button and use our promo code RedSoxBeat. You get to try FanDuel for free with no deposit required if you visit FanDuel.com. You claim the free contest and play for a share of that $10,000. Just sign up using promo code RedSoxBeat. That's promo code RedSoxBeat at FanDuel.com. Full way to where prohibited. It's phenomenal. It's obviously working. And I play every week despite not doing well because I have a chance to hit the reset button, which is great. More baseball going on. Obviously, the Fall Classic, the World Series is going on. It was like 103. At first pitch in LA, it's not baseball to me. Not fall baseball. It's really upsetting to me that there's no like cold weather team in the World Series. Like then you go to Houston, they'll be inside, and it'll be a nice 75, and it's like I want to see guys bundled. I want to see Xander Bogaerts in like his full mask. Like that's what I love watching. Ball's not traveling, pitchers jamming guys, people's blowing in their hands. Like that's what I want to see. That's fall baseball, but you're not going to get that. Instead, you're going to get Dallas Keuchel warming up, almost sweating out of his shirt.
It's not right.
It's not right. And that game one was phenomenal. We'll get to that in a second. But guys, first let's talk about a member of the Dodgers, a guy who's been hurt for a little bit now, and he's not even there. It's Adrian Gonzalez. If you guys haven't heard the story, as you listen to the show here. He has been out for a while now, and the Dodgers, said if you don't want to be there, you don't have to. So maybe you give him an out there, but he took it. This dude's on a European vacation instead of being with his team at the World Series. He's going to get a ring if they win. Like, it's not like he's just not going to get a ring. So why wouldn't you be there? Like, he always praised, like, my team, what a team win. He tweets after every win, blah, blah, blah. why are you in Europe when your team's in the World Series?
It blows my mind. Like, I understand you're hurt. I understand you're not on the roster. I get it. But you have to be there to support your team. You would never see David Ortiz if he didn't make a World Series roster if he was hurt. And he would never be in some lavish Dominican vacation. He would not be somewhere that wasn't anywhere with his team. And this kind of goes to say a lot about Gonzalez as a player and as a teammate. I would want my teammates there, no matter if they're on the roster or not, no matter how. I mean, if he was seriously hurt and he was like receiving treatment in Europe, that's one thing, but he's obviously not. And I hate that he's tweeting and he's like, my team. No, screw you. You left your team. You left your team to go on some early vacation, which good for you. You can do that. You took your out. But you should be with your team. This is a huge opportunity. It's not something that happens every single year especially for the Dodgers. This hasn't happened in years for the Dodgers. And he's just going to sit back and sit this one out. Like, get over whatever. Like, just get over it. I don't understand not being with your team. I could never imagine being part of a team and not being there to support them in any way that I can. Like, you'd be like, oh yeah, I support them from Europe. But no, screw you, Adrian Gonzalez. You should be here, but instead it's complete selfishness.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been a trend with this guy, right? It's like he gets hurt with the team, and then like they play better without him. It's like he's clearly a clubhouse cancer. They couldn't wait to get rid of him here, and they seem to do better without him. He always puts up great numbers. He always has. He's got really good career numbers, and he's been a really good player. But this pretty much tells you all you need to know about him. The fact that he's okay with leaving the team, even though he's hurt, and just not being with the team. Like, this is the first time you've been in the World Series, dude, and all these years. You're 35 years old. This doesn't happen every day, and you finally get there, and you're not even going to be there. That blows my mind. I can't believe that he can live with this.
And Jess, you kind of hinted at my idea here too, and my point is, the Dodgers told him it was okay. Do you think they were okay? They knew he was going to take it and say, okay, well, we don't want you around, or the team.
They don't want him there.
Clearly, they don't want him in the clubhouse. Like, they knew he would take the out. They said, you know what, you're hurt. It's okay. Like, you're part of the team. You can go if you want. It's not a big deal. Knowing he would take it.
Yes. I don't think they wanted him there at all. I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jess, you said it perfectly. Like, it's a trend with him. So I think in the back of their minds, they didn't want him there. So they were just like, oh, you don't have to be here if you don't want to. And he's like, bye. Like, the first second he got, which, I mean, whatever. If it's going to make, teams going to play better without him, whatever. I think he should still be there. Absolutely. But the guy's a bum.
The fact that he was here for such a short period of time and was as good as he was, and how quickly they wanted to get rid of him, I mean, that pretty much tells you what you need to know about him, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous. And you look at, what the options are. You mentioned, like, David Ortiz, Lauren. Hanley wouldn't even be caught dead doing this. I know for a fact, Hanley might be lazy sometimes and not try all the time, but if he was hurt and couldn't play and the Red Sox were in the World Series or even in the playoffs, he'd be right there on the railing cheering his team on because he's got some energy. Like, as much as Hanley is lazy, he cares. And that's one of the bigger issues he's had his whole career is him being selfish, and he still wouldn't be gone. So for Adrian Gonzalez to be doing this, now would it be different if it wasn't LA, if you were in Boston? I don't know, but overall, it's just being selfish is what it is.
Yeah, it totally is. You wouldn't. I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but 99.5% of the players in the league wouldn't do this, right? I mean, most players want to be there for their team, whether they're playing or not. Like, to be in the World Series and to leave, it's not like it's a regular season game or like a week of the regular season. Like, this is the World Series. There's 2 teams left, and your team's one of them. Like, nobody would do that. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Like, it makes you think like what's going on internally with them, but I think this just kind of says it all. But I mean, I don't see any other. I mean, if Yasiel Puig, I can kind of see doing that, but
even him, I couldn't. I couldn't even see him doing it now because he's clearly got a wake up call when he almost got like cut by the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a good wake up call that he needed. But I can totally still see him pulling this Adrian Gonzalez move. But going through like big name players on teams right now, off the top of my head, I can't sit here and be like, this guy absolutely would not be with his team. Like, I just can't, which is a good thing, but I can't fathom somebody wanting to not wanting to be with their team. They're on the biggest stage of the baseball season. You're here, you've made it, and you're in Europe.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And when you look at it in a case in point, you have your guy Clayton Kershaw going Game 1 against Dallas Keuchel. This is going to be a phenomenal game, and it ended up being a really good game. It was 3-1. It was everything we kind of expected, and it's going to be a fun series the whole way through. But to not want to be a part of that, to me, shows you care about yourself. No matter how much you claim you're a team guy, you only care about yourself, and that's it. And that's a problem for them. But let's talk about Game 1 real quick, because we have the opportunity to. We recorded a little late this week, so we got Game 1 under our belt. Clayton Kershaw was up against Dallas Keuchel. We expected this game to be good, and it was. Clayton Kershaw, 7 innings pitched, only 1 earned run, and 11 strikeouts. Everything advertised, first World Series, obviously, and this is the kind of guy that you want to see in the World Series, healthy, ready to go, and pitching at home in the heat against Dallas Keuchel. He said it after the game, because Keuchel was throwing so well, he was getting into a rhythm, being able to get up and down so fast, and he showed it, and he's the reason why they won this game. Houston really could never get into stride.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun game to watch, and pitcher's duel, really through those 7 innings, and Kershaw was just amazing. And I really root for Kershaw. I love Kershaw, and I love Dallas Keuchel too, but just to see Kershaw succeed and really just go out there and give a really solid Game 1 performance, which is exactly what the Dodgers needed. He's their ace. He's been back and he's been hurt. He's been this. He's been that. So to see him come out and really just be absolutely dominant was really nice. I'm pulling for the Astros to win this series at the end of the day, but it was hot too. AJ Hinch said at the beginning of the game during pregame, he was like, give your thoughts on the game. He's like, first of all, it's really hot out. And I was like, uh-oh. I was like, is the heat really going to get into these guys' heads? Like they play in Houston. I know that they play inside. I know they play indoors, but it's still humid in there.
Yeah, Dallas Keuchel was warming up in the dead of the sun. Sun was in his eyes. They showed video in 103. It must have felt like 120 of that dude warming up for his first World Series start, beating Sun of LA, and then you could see it. The sweat was just pouring. It made his shirt dark gray before he even started through a ball.
LA Sun is really, really hot. I was there in December, and I was sweating. So I can't even imagine what it's like, 2 months prior.
All summer. How about July?
Yeah, screw that. No way.
That's ridiculous. And then you have Chris Taylor comes up, first pitch of the World Series, hits a ding dong. Oh, Dodgers are up 1-0. Great. There's that kind of set the tone. So this is what I expect, right? This series has to go 6-7 games. I know obviously Kershaw is great in Game 1, but then you have Verlander going in Game 2 versus Rich Hill. I give the edge to the Astros there, and you kind of relay this all the way through. This series has to go 6 or 7 games.
I'm thinking it's going 7. I'm saying Astros in 7. I think this is going to be a fight to the end. These two teams obviously want it. It's going to be a great series, and it obviously proved that today. So I'm super excited to see if this was Game 1. I am super excited to see the rest how the series plays out.
Can you believe this is the first time since 1970 that both teams have had over 100 wins?
It's crazy.
Ridiculous. Well, because, baseball,
awesome.
Random crap happens, but these are 2 of the best teams to have played all year. And everyone knew Dodgers were it. Dodgers were the team all year to come in and be the World Series. And now the Astros are basically, I think it's basically LA against the world at this point. I don't think a lot of people want to see the Dodgers win. And I think what happened with Houston and the Hurricane, I think it's fitting that they're here. It seems like tragedy always does that. And you don't want, you'd rather it not happen. But 2013 with the bombings, the Red Sox won the World Series that year. They had no business doing that. And Houston came out of nowhere, and they did that this year after being a really good team all year. They used that to get over the hump and motivation, and you hate to say it, but it pulls people together. So I expect this to go 6 or 7 games. I think the Dodgers do win the series, but I think it's going to be a phenomenal series. Before we get out of here for the week, I did want to touch on one other thing too, just because it was weird. Dusty Baker was fired. By the Nationals this week. No longer the manager, and he's had a good team as well. And is this just a case of needing a new voice? Because just like John Farrell, had good teams, couldn't do much with it.
I think this is such a stupid move. And when I got this alert, I was just like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I know Alex Cora was linked to them as well, but I mean, this new manager who comes in, who's going to want this job? There's no job security. Dusty Baker did a phenomenal job. I thought he was a great manager. So I don't know if this is just a respect issue, if this is, it's kind of like the Washington Capitals in the NHL. They just can't get out of that first, second round in the playoffs. I get it. It's frustrating, but Dusty Baker was a good manager. There's no reason to let him go, in my opinion. And it just I don't get it, because he's got 90 plus wins in his seasons here, and it's just like, why? Like, nobody's going to want to come in and be like, I want to coach the Nationals because I'm definitely going to be here for the next 5-6 years. You might not even make it out of your second year here.
Is it the process of starting to think long term? In my eyes, you never know, but like, he's getting older, and if they really believe that they're not going to keep Bryce Harper and they might not be able to keep this band together, is it them saying, okay, this might be a good time to find our long-term guy and then go from there with the roster?
No, absolutely not. Dusty Baker was your long-term guy, and you just canned him. Like, I don't care if Bryce Harper, I get it. He's probably not going to be with the Nationals after next year. Okay, but if you're Dusty Baker, you take your roster of who you have and you rebuild, because that's the kind of manager he is. And it's just a weird move. It makes you think, like, it just makes you think, like, what's going on internally there.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, it's not even like a John Farrell situation where you finished in last twice. Like, he was just there. Baker was just there for 2 years, and they won 2 divisions, and I guess they just won 1, but they had over 90 wins both times. So they're in the playoffs both times, and they lost both times. But 2 years isn't very much to can someone over that. I mean, the guy's 68 years old. He's managed several different teams. He knows how to manage. I think it was a quick hook. I think they might be looking for the future, but even at that, it still seems too quick. Like, at least give him 1 more year and see if he can do something 1 more year.
Yeah, I think it is a quick hook, especially where, at this point, if you really do think you're losing Bryce Harper and you might pull the plug on this team if they can't do it, at least do it till he's a free agent, right? If you really can't get anything for Bryce Harper and you're going to let him, if he's going to test free agency and maybe go to New York, which would screw over everyone in the AL East if Bryce Harper goes to the Yankees. But look, you got to give that team a shot, because they're really good for a reason, and they weren't that far from moving on. So I think it was a quick hook. I think they kind of got anxious about what was going on and how they lost, and they're seeing the Red Sox fire John Farrell, and they're seeing the managers turn around. Now, I don't know what would have made them think they had a shot at Alex Cora, because it was pretty obvious that if Alex Cora was going to get a manager job that he wanted badly, and if the Red Sox wanted him, it was going to be a best fit, and that's kind of what happened. So, everyone out there, I wouldn't have wanted Ron Garnett for that job, but, there's other guys out there, but... And even then, the Garnett side in Minnesota was even a weird one. No, not Minnesota. He went to
Detroit.
Excuse me. And that's what I meant. That's a weird one. But there's not a lot of manager options out there that were good. So, what's better than Dusty Baker?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm stumped. I am bamboozled. I am just baffled by this firing, and.
Are they going to go out and get, like, Brad Ausmus or something?
Seriously, that's what's left, and it's like...
He's really the only one left. I John Farrell's going to go coach the Nationals. Just watch. He's going to tank that team.
No, it was funny. It'll be funny.
No, then he'll win the World Series.
He'll be the guy that gets through that team somehow, and they'll go win a World Series. Because, look, whoever gets that job's inheriting a killer roster. Like, it's not like they're going to a bad team. Whether it be Ausmus, whether it be Farrell, if he wants to manage again, like, whoever gets that gig is getting a team that's going to go places if they can figure it out. So maybe Ausmus might be the right guy. I don't know if Farrell is the right guy, but then again, who knows what he'll do if he even manages next year. But I guess we'll leave it at a bamboozled Lauren for the week. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at @RedSox_beat, Facebook, Red Sox Beat Podcast. The network is at CLNS Media. Same thing on Facebook. Don't forget to check out Harry's Razors at harrys.com/Red Sox. Get a free trial of Harry's Razors, and Red Sox Beat on FanDuel, of course, and the FanDuel.com/Red Sox Beat to play against us. Week 8 coming up, right? That we're at with the NFL now. It all blends together when the Patriots are winning. Finally. So, we'll be back next week, talk about the World Series. Enjoyed it, because we're almost out of time with the baseball season, and then we'll be without baseball for a little bit. So enjoy the World Series, all you baseball nuts out there, and we'll be back next week. For Jess Thomas, Lauren Campbell, and myself, Jared Scally, Red Sox Beat here on CLNS Media. I'll talk to you next week.